When is it time to change jobs? This time on Sales Talk with Joe. Whether you've been in sales for years, are just starting your sales career, or even just considering a career in sales, Sales Talk with Joe is designed to help you become more successful and earn more money. Now, this one may get me in trouble with some managers, some sales managers, but the discussion or the topic of when you should change jobs, I don't see discussed very often, if ever, by any sales coaches. And the truth of the matter is that most salespeople change jobs at least once during their career. It's unusual to see a salesperson get into a company or a job and stay with them throughout their entire career. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. That doesn't mean that it's wrong to change jobs or not change jobs. It depends, of course, on the circumstances. But let's talk a little bit about why salespeople change jobs and when it's appropriate to change jobs and when really you shouldn't. You should stick it out, at least from my perspective. I was a sales manager, and one of my responsibilities was hiring people for my team when I needed them. And I can tell you that when I would let the industry know that I had a job opening and the resumes would come flooding in, and I started pouring through them and looking at them, I didn't use any type of AI. Well, there wasn't AI back then, but I didn't use any type of programs that would automatically filter resumes and disqualify certain ones because of certain parameters or conditions. I looked at every resume. It took a lot of time, but I wanted to see each and every person. I wanted to get a feel for, what I saw in their career or in their accomplishments that made them look interesting or not interesting. I wanted to be the final arbiter of that. But I can tell you that when I saw a resume that had what I called a job hopper, and that was somebody that every year and a half to 2.5 years moved to another company, I would be very skeptical of that resume, and it would get a lower priority. I'm not telling you I never interviewed any of those folks or that I never hired anybody like that, because that's not true. I did on some occasions. But they would always get a lower priority than somebody that showed me a little more stability. When I would talk to job hoppers and say, why are you leaving your current company? Their answers could be categorized a couple of different ways. One of them is, oh, well, this company is really messed up and they're not shipping product. They're not responding to competitive situations in the field. They've fallen behind at times. I can't sell the product anymore. Or they would say, I don't agree with the direction of the company. And I would get the feeling from that they and their managers weren't getting along, and they didn't feel like their voice was being heard as to what was going on in the marketplace. Now, that can happen at a company. I totally understand it. I've been in companies where that has happened. But to have that happen virtually everywhere you go tells me something other than what you perceive to be the problem is really the problem. The third thing that I would hear people say is, oh, I saw another opportunity somewhere and I wanted to go grab that. What job hoppers do a lot of times, or what people that leave one company and go to another, what happens a lot of times, if they're staying within the same industry, but they're moving to a different category of product, they have their customers that they get along with very well. And they know that when they go to that new company, they can go to those particular customers and they'll have an ear. Those customers will listen and a lot of times buy from them. So you can show up and earn a lot of customer purchases very quickly. And that means, hitting quota, which can mean bonus or earning extra commission. And so pretty quickly, within a few months, you're starting to really get to a point where you're going to make some money. But then pretty soon the low-hanging fruit goes away and it becomes a little bit tougher to earn those purchases. And a lot of times those folks will give up and move on somewhere else. Those were the people that I wanted to avoid. Yeah, sure, they could bring some new business in pretty quickly, but long term, today to hire an employee, you invest a lot of money in training and a lot of money in getting them up to speed. And somebody that's not going to stick around is not somebody that is the best possible option for my company. The other type of person that would say, oh, the company wasn't responding there, they were blaming external situations, external conditions for their frustration and or lack of success. Frankly, as a salesperson, you can't do that. You can't start blaming outside influences for your lack of success. Now, that doesn't mean that you shut up and take it. When something is not going well, it's critical to go to the folks inside the company and be very upfront and frank with them. Hey, I'm struggling. Here's what I'm running into. I need help. And a lot of times the company will maybe run you back through some training they had done before that would help you understand your company's or your product or services value proposition and get your perspective back in the best place it could be on that, so that you can go out to the customer and justify the value of what you're asking them to purchase. A lot of times that's where the struggle comes. When you ask a customer to purchase something and they don't see the value and they tell you no, and it gets frustrating after a while, and you begin to lose sight on what it is that you have to offer that's good. So in any case, I'm going to tell you that it's not necessarily a good thing to change jobs frequently. We've all done it. We've all changed jobs, or at least most of us have. We've changed jobs at one point or another because of something that we saw that we thought, man, there's no future here anymore. It could be a manager that you just don't get along with. It could be that the company philosophy has changed and you don't agree with it anymore. It could be that the company is really stumbling. They're not, they've had some issue that they're not shipping product well or providing the service well anymore, or they're just not competitive in the market and they won't respond to that. But it is also critical to realize that part of the reason we exist as salespeople is to explain our value proposition to customers. And just because some competition comes along doesn't mean, and it's not real easy anymore, doesn't mean that we need to switch jobs. It means that we need to dig in and find ways to get our value proposition across to the prospects and customers that we have and get the job done, get it sold. I remember one time I was at a job, and it was a good job. It was a good company. And the company had announced that they were having a price increase. And the competition in the market was white hot. I mean, there was lots of competitors. Our pricing was all very, very similar. Our product was all very, very similar. It was a grind out to earn business. And our company was announcing a price increase on our product. And I went to my manager and I went, we can't do this. This is going to be brutal, man. It's going to hurt us. And the manager looked at me and said, Joe, I need somebody that can sell our product and our value to our customers. Even with the price increase, we're still the better value because, and he went on to enumerate some of the value propositions and the value aspects of our company. And he said, I got to have somebody that can do that. He said, I believe you can if you get your head straight and get your head back in the game. And that was a wake-up call for me. I mean, it really made me, kind of reshift my thinking and refocus and go do the job that I was hired to do and paid to do. So if you find yourself getting frustrated, even to the point of where you're thinking, man, I ought to go look for another job, stop. Talk to somebody. They might have to give you a good, swift kick, where, but that'll be the best thing that could ever happen to you. It'll wake you up and get you re-energized and redoing your job. And you may need some help. You may need somebody in the company to come along and kind of refresh you and, make sure you're up to date on all the value aspects of what you have to offer. But that'll be good too. That will help you as well. So don't, when going gets tough, think automatically, I need to go find another job. Now, again, I'm going to say this. There may be a time that comes where you have to. But So don't feel bad about that, but don't let that be your default. Oh, I've got to go get another job. I'm Joe Ferguson. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was helpful, please share it with somebody that you think it will help as well. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. I'd really like to get more subscribers. If you have a product or service that you think would be useful for my viewers, email me, and we can chat about sponsors opportunities. If you just want to talk more about sales and your individual situation, go ahead and email me. I'll be happy to talk with you. I'm Joe Ferguson. Thanks for watching Sales Talk with Joe, and be on the lookout next Thursday for our next Sales Talk with Joe.